Welcome to the Carpet Cleaning Success Podcast. AI Marketing Experts is your backstage pass to the future of marketing. Hosted by a powerhouse crew of AI-savvy entrepreneurs, including John Clendenning, this weekly show unpacks the tools, trends, and real-world applications of artificial intelligence in digital marketing.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's Brad Kilgore here with another episode of AI Marketing Experts. We are super stoked to bring to you the latest and greatest information that we know and we like to talk about for local businesses and how AI can impact, accelerate, or who knows what with your business. So be sure and like us on YouTube, follow us, share us. If you're on the podcast channels, do the same, like us, share us, and just keep listening because we're here to help. So with that all in mind, I've got my good friends here today to really unpack some things today, a little bit controversial, a little bit cutting edge, and who knows and who has the crystal ball, right? So we're going to just talk about what is really happening and what are some of the news things we're hearing out there with what AI is doing or what it's not doing or where it's going. So we're just going to kind of throw it out there of what we're hearing, what we're thinking, and our own opinions of where it's all heading. So with that, we're going to kind of kick off our latest episode. So who would like to start first?
I saw, well, one, I think it's really cool. We got the men in hats. That's kind of neat. Anyways, that was just a total aside. But MIT did a study. I was telling you guys ahead of time that 95% of all AI use cases are failing, according to MIT. And AI is making people dumber. They're just flat, accepting the answers and off they go. And just kind of dumbing down their critical thinking and all of that kind of stuff, which is not the intent. And is also not the intent of this show and what we recommend to our teams, our clients, you people watching. So yeah, I thought that was really interesting. 95% of all AI use cases, and even Sam Altman came out recently and said that he's seeing or thinking or prognosticating that the AI bubble, hype bubble, is shaking or could be bursting. So you guys might be feeling some of this out there in the audience. That hey, this AI thing, I don't need it. I have a farm, I have a barn, right? Laura, or I run a carpet cleaning truck. I clean dirty carpets. Like what does it have to do? So yeah, we've got our own perspective on it. My perspective is that as we all talk, the human in the loop is a big part of it. So you've got to have the human in the loop. So you don't take it as it's an assistant. It's an eager, hyper, kid right out of college going, okay, I'm ready to get you a whole bunch of information. Okay, well, you bought a bunch of crap. Can we try that again, please? If you treat it that way, you're going to start going, oh, wait a minute, let me settle down. Okay, maybe too many coffees. Let me relax. Let me go get a little bit better information. And then all of a sudden you start having a good conversation and you finally dial in a strategic thought because you're just using it as a thought partner, something to bounce off of, something to go grab your research from, and you're kind of directing it. So that, to me, that's just the best, always been that will be the best use case. Don't rely on AI voice to answer all your phones all the time, 100% of the time, because you're going to piss some people off, and we'll talk about that. But use it where it fits and watch the metrics very closely. So if you are pissing people off, know that and know how you're going to adjust.
I think John just unpacked so much. we can mind map that to take hours and add hours, but yeah, you started
Sorry about that.
You started several conversations, but I think if we just even backtrack to saying, is it making us dumber? Are we really relying on it all too much? And I know when you brought up the farm element of it, of course, there's many, many aspects of my daily life and any farmer's daily life that cannot be AI especially when we're talking about marketing. But if we think of those redundant things, that does feel like it's numbing for us to do day after day, week after week, month after month. What can we use AI to move that forward? That is definitely a bonus and a pro for AI. What may not be so much is thinking, just as we were saying, drop something in, let AI do it, not have that human touch to go through it. So one of the cons is we do want to always exercise our muscles. We want that high cognitive thinking. We want to go ahead and if we're using AI to take care of some of those redundant tasks, then we have time to focus and to do that deep thought, and not just relying 100% on AI, maybe using it starting with a pen and paper, going old school and stepping away from technology and write down initial thoughts and then add that into AI to take it a step further, then take it back off of AI and really fine tune it, use the skills. Again, what our audience, we know you're experts at what you do. So if that can free up some time in your day to move you forward faster, that's fantastic. So again, I think there's a lot of pros and cons to anything, and that's what we're bringing out, kind of the dark side. I know Jen has some examples of some things that she was reading about that went wrong in the world, and just kind of what John was saying with MIT studies. So we do need to stop and think, okay, even if most of our tasks can be done on AI, what can we do to exercise our own thinking power? And that might be just taking pen and paper and journaling like we used to do, writing down those ideas, brainstorming where we want our companies and our businesses to go with pen and paper first before we rely on AI.
What do you think, Jen?
Well, I wanted to mention something about the idea that AI is making us dumber. We are not. If we were to score all of us as far as intelligence on a scale of 1 to 10, which I know, we could look at IQ and everything, but I cannot remember what the IQ score is right now. So let's just go with 1 to 10. We are not all 10s. We're not all 8s. And like, I feel like I have average intelligence, but with AI, I am able to be a lot smarter. And so, I don't think that AI is making me dumber because of that. I actually think it's making me smarter in that way, but I'm able to use it in the right ways to do that. If I was, we could twist it and say like, okay, well, yeah, I'm just going to use it to take the thinking out, of the equation for me, then yeah, okay, it's gonna, not do the same for me. And also with, I know I mentioned this to you guys, but as someone with MS, I deal with cognitive issues and memory issues, and AI, ChatGPT, Claude, they have helped me so much to be able to just, keep things straight in, in how I articulate them. So I think that AI absolutely has the potential to make us dumber in so many ways. And also simultaneously, it can do a lot of good also.
And before we dive into something else, I'm going to agree with the fact that I feel more curious and I find myself digging deeper into topics because I do have time, and I feel like my creative juices are flowing so much better these days. And I see that in my team. I see that in my clients, because we now have that space to actually dig deeper and learn what people are asking. And really, I find it fascinating. So the times it's been a long time. When we got really deep into business, there wasn't enough time in the day to actually have fun. And so now this does allow, again, move some of that redundant stuff over and use the AI tools to dig deeper. So I would, if there was a scale, I would say that I feel like it's helping more than hindering. Again, we've talked about it before. Those that have been taking shortcuts in many elements will see this as a shortcut, and that's what's going to produce for them. So that's just.
Where's this extra time you're talking about?
Well, okay. We could go back and forth on that. You're right, because I do find, because it gets me so excited, that I'm spending more time on a computer than probably what I should. Or used to be able to, like, it's 5:00, let's walk away and get back to it tomorrow. Where now, especially when it's on the phone, it's easy to have those conversations go, wait a minute, this was a item, or this was a situation in my business I want to organize. And that's what I was using AI to talk it through, saying, okay, we forgot that we needed this element. We forgot about that. And it was able to organize it. So I agree, be able to mind map things. Okay. So not so much time to do my canning that's needing to be done at the moment. But while I'm canning, I guess I can have more conversations.
Right. Well, and you have to think about it too. If you look at the past and how things shifted before, whether that was text messaging, whether that was the ability to talk to our phones, to type a text for us, or all these different things, this technology, the internet in general, all these things that we've seen in the last 10, 20 years or longer. I stop and think about, okay, when I go to write an envelope now to somebody, I don't write very much anymore. I don't use a pen and paper, kind of like Laura just mentioned. I don't use my writing skills with a pen anymore. So those superpowers or those skills, they get rusty, because I don't, like in the old days, all we did, we would write everything, right? We wouldn't type it or we wouldn't talk it. We would use a pen. Now you don't do that. So you have to stop and think, okay, now I control my house by my voice. I talk to it to turn the lights off, and I set the alarm by voice and all these other things. So where is it going to head? We don't have a crystal ball, but we know that AI is just creeping into all the different things that we do on a daily basis, whether it's I can communicate with my washer or dryer when I'm on vacation to do laundry or start the stove or the oven. I mean, there's so many things that we take for granted of how technology has changed. And we just become accustomed to it. We become used to it. So I think the biggest thing we need to think of is, as we really go forward with AI, that we don't forget our basic skills. And like what the lady shared, having that human factor in there, and don't forget that we have an imagination and that we have business acumen and smarts and all those other things. But AI really is just a tool to help us leverage things at a higher level, if that makes sense.
And I would say that, to your point of getting back to some of the basics and such, if my dealerships are able to free up some of their time, they can go back and have those face-to-face discussions. And so, especially as they're trying to provide agronomy recommendations and looking at their best practices, et cetera, that took them a lot of time to compile that information and data. Now they can shift that to AI. It may give additional insights that they did not have time to. But instead of them being in the office at times, now they're able to go and practice that one-on-one skill, or it's not so much practicing, it's getting back to what they love. And that is the face-to-face, and again, human element. And that's the extra piece they can drop into those recommendations, because they've had time to go out, be in the fields, be in the tractors, be next to this equipment, be, cleaning carpets, doing the roofing, and automotive, the med spas. They're able to be there. And that makes a big difference.
Yeah. And so when y'all sent this out as a kind of a topic, I started thinking about it, right? And going back to thinking, and I find it ridiculous, right? This argument that it's going to make us dumber, right? And here's why. If that's the argument, then and I view AI as an employee, right? As an assistant. So does that mean every employee that I hire makes me dumber? Right? No. They've said this about every technology piece, by the way, since I've been alive, right? I mean, every single piece, and I'm in my lower 50s, okay, at this point. And so my mom used to say it about the TV, right? The TV is going to make you dumb, right? My parents said it about computers. Computers are going to make us dumb, right? And I think it's fear of technology is really where this is all stemming from, right? And honestly, all of the people saying these types of things, right, and fear mongering, coming up with the titles that we're all reading, these, kind of those are journalists, right? And the journalists are about to become completely extinct. Okay. So, they've got a lot to lose there. They're going to lose their entire jobs. Hey, we're kind of on that chopping block too, a little bit, right? With marketing, with AI, because it is getting so smart and it is getting so automated and all that kind of stuff. We're kind of in that same type of boat, right? Ish.
Ish, because I will
Since
push back. I'll have to find
yeah,
the study, but it was saying that marketers are not on the chopping blocks because
okay,
we're still needed. So I will hunt for that. It was, I believe it came from HubSpot, but marketers is not on anywhere near that list. People will always perceive it, but again, you're going to need to put your information out there. So
yeah,
anybody watching this, we should be good. But anyway, go ahead.
yeah, yeah. Well, I mean,
Also,
but
HubSpot marketer.
yeah, marketing company, right?
Yes, that's
Yeah,
true.
yeah.
Yes. I will confirm that that's where it was from, but you were correct.
Take that with a grain of salt. Take
Yeah.
anything with a grain of salt, honestly.
Yeah.
But
All of it.
you know, and along the same arguments, did Google make us dumber then too? Because Google is also a tool that we go to for knowledge, right? So I mean, just the thought pattern from the people studying this, you gotta kind of trace back. In my opinion, I'm critical when I think about studies, right? Who's funding that? Okay.
Yeah.
Who's funding that study and what's their agenda, their kind of a thing. So that's just me.
So do
But
we ask if we're going to be lazier? Is that more the topic? Are we going to become lazier?
I'm already lazy. I'm an entrepreneur, right? I already don't like having to work out in the sun and all that kind of stuff. So I sit behind a computer in the air conditioning, right? I figured that out when I was working on that jet back there. So, you know, I lazy is okay being an entrepreneur. That's what we do, right? We hire people
Yeah.
and we build systems in order to do the things that we don't personally want to do.
That's
Am I
right.
right on that?
We work half days. It just depends on
Mhm.
which 12 hours of the day we want
Yeah.
to work.
You would do that.
Right. Right. Exactly. Right.
There's
So,
a quote
anyways,
too, just that there was, and it was a very, very popular, very big business person that said that lazy people are the best as far as like making like processes and like figuring out how to do stuff because we don't want to work harder than we have to, but we do a good job.
Good point.
Yeah.
Very good point.
Yeah, typically the best programmers, right, are the lazy ones because they don't want to do all this other stuff over here, so they program something to do all that other stuff that they don't want to do. So
There's a point that we kind of dovetailed around this that lazy when Laura, you're talking about sort of talking to your AI, whether ChatGPT or whatever it happens to be, and being more productive and all of those kinds of things. So a couple of examples of that. I just want to sort of really put a pin in this for anybody listening and kind of paying attention is, so Dan Martell, Buy Back Your Time, great book to read or listen to, whatever you do. And talks about having that, can't remember exactly what he calls it, one of you guys might know, but it's sort of like that time where you can do two things at once. So he's on the treadmill training for his Ironman and so he has to do how many hours a day. So he can have team meetings at that time and talk and stuff like that. Or when he used to drive from Halifax to New York or whatever, that's when he brought somebody along with him back in the day to take notes and programming and stuff like that. So we can sort of multitask, like multitasking is a myth, but we could be doing a menial thing while doing something else thoughtful. So as an example, I've had a couple examples, but I got off a coaching session with one of our team members, fairly new team member, about a role, and got off a little frustrated, a little like not following some of the stuff, really need to figure this out. Yeah. And it was lunchtime. I also had to eat. I also knew an hour later, by the time I went in, made my lunch, went to McDonald's, whatever, grabbed a coffee, came back, an hour had gone by, and my brain wouldn't been as sharp on the topic. And normally I would maybe just write a few notes, carry on, come back and do it. This, I just grabbed ChatGPT, took the big blue bubble. Hey, JC, what are we talking about today? Because I have it trained to at least be somewhat friendly with me. And I said, okay, so I'm just gonna let me vent for a second. Sure, vent away, it says. And as I'm walking across from the shop into the house and I call it chopping and chatting. And most of you guys have been on a chop and chat with me at some point where I'm making lunch and having a conversation of some sort. And I'm doing this with AI and had the conversation. We went back and forth about what I need to do and how I need to fix it and what we could possibly do and give me some suggestions. And it was literally just a conversation. And I do that a lot. So I did that fixing my chainsaw on the weekend. I did that. So I did that. And then I went and, had my coffee, came back, at my desk, opened up ChatGPT. There's the whole conversation and said, okay, so you gave some suggestions. Let me drop the transcripts of the conversation I had. Let me drop in some of the training notes. So just add some of the Google Docs. What do we do? 20 minutes later, so a talk while I was having lunch, 20 minutes later, individual development plan, deadlines, KPIs, dates, everything else like that. Had a meeting that afternoon with the same fellow. Hey, our conversation left me a little off. I want to make sure that we're on the same page. I really want to give you the best opportunity to succeed. Let me walk you through what I've come up with and tell me what you think. And he was like, dude, I can do this. It's clearer for me now. Cool. Our next meeting's on Thursday, according to this. Let's meet about it and talk about it next Thursday. Right? So that was, I did a lazy way, Chris, because it was like I didn't pause for 3 or 4 hours and go, learn good coaching and whatever. I do think I helped my leadership skills even a little bit more, but I also was able to offshoot a lot of the assisted thinking. Now I don't like that idea, but that seems to be going down the right path and just get a good conversation going.
And then it was off your mind, off your plate, and you were able to focus on so much, more.
And I slept better that night. I didn't take it home with me. It's like,
and you moved that team member. You lifted them up so they felt like they also had the ability to succeed.
Yeah.
And you gave them clarity on their job, right? And exactly what the expectations were, which you set with the help of an assistant, right? Yeah. And I think that's where our mindset, and I know I push this a lot, but the mindset of using AI as an assistant versus, the end all be all, right, is really the mindset shift that we as entrepreneurs and anyone in the marketing industry should use. You're still coming up with a strategy, right? We all come up with a strategy. It helps us with the implementation of that strategy. Okay. So I think that's where, this whole conversation should be, is that, it's not making us dumber, it's making us more efficient.
That was
right?
the clickbait
It's
title,
helping us.
the dark side of AI. There's our clickbait title, but we're pushing back.
Yeah. I think that. Go ahead, Brad. Sorry.
Oh, go ahead, Chris. Finish, please.
I was going to say, I think that study's a bunch of BS. I want to see who actually funded that. I guarantee it's someone that's again in the hurting side of AI right now.
Right. Well, I really liked what JC shared about, just leveraging it. I mean, it just inspires me because he's light years ahead of me in so many areas of how he is really utilizing AI tools to save time, to multitask, to make efficient, do things efficiently and what have you. And so the thing is there's so many different ways that we can utilize AI as it progresses, whether you're a photographer and you now have the ability to take old photos and bring them back to life or turn them into a video or whatever it is. So I mean, there's just so many avenues when it comes to how you can leverage AI, how you can utilize it to increase what you do and make it smarter and everything else. But the flip side, and I know Jen can touch on this, is it's not foolproof. And so I think sometimes that's where some of the fear comes in, is it's like, okay, well, I don't want to turn everything that we do over to AI because what if it breaks? And it can, I mean, it's still a robot, at the end of the day, and it's advancing so fast. But, you just have to think about, okay, if I'm going to really embed some of these things into my business, do I really want to try to figure it out all myself if I'm an auto mechanic? Maybe I'm a smart auto mechanic. Maybe I have technical skills. Maybe I don't, but maybe it makes sense to work with somebody like some of us on the call, on the show, that have teams and knowledge and really live and breathe this stuff. Again, doesn't mean it can't break, but, don't try to figure it all out yourself necessarily. Feel free to definitely embed it in your life where you can and find out what works and what doesn't. But I know Jen has a little story about a huge company who had a major fail. Doesn't mean that AI is bad. It just means how they did it, somehow it broke. So what was the story you were sharing with us, Jen?
Yeah, so it's about Taco Bell, who or they it was using AI in their drive-through, not in all of their locations, but in in a lot. Funny little side note, even though I'm so into AI, it was my husband that actually brought this story to me. Not that he's super into Taco Bell, but I think that, well, he is a little bit into Taco Bell. So anyways, he's the one that told me about it. So just to give him a little credit there. So yeah, AI or Taco Bell started to roll AI out in their drive-throughs. It was actually, from what I understand, the second time they have attempted to do that. This time it was not going well. There's actually a viral clip of a customer ordering 18,000 cups of water through the drive-through, and the AI, like, it actually put the order through. And so that particular story was, at first I thought that it was kind of a lesson in just AI getting things wrong, like, and that could be the lesson still. Also, AI doesn't really have a sense of humor. And when they were recording this video, for this very purpose, the 18,000 cups of water, they thought that they were being humorous. That's what they were trying to do. And so it's just an interesting point that, like, AI doesn't have our taste, our sense of humor, our, those things that are very human.
I think that's why self-driving cars, like, so Tesla, like, the difference from the LiDAR and stuff like that, and like $200,000 worth of GPS and LiDARs and stuff like that in the self-driving taxis in Vegas versus what Tesla's trying to do and get full self-driving out. Tesla's trying to do, hey, we got cameras, normal little cheapy cameras, an AI and a central database, and we're trying to teach it to, again, not accept the 18,000 cups of water kind of idea, which could be, the mother and child walking in front of the car and not accepting that as, oh, maybe I see that as something I can run over, right, at that one time or whatever. Like, it's the AI, it is constantly being, iterated and improved. It's been years, like the last couple of years, it's like, it's, full self-driving soon, but not soon enough, because it's still taking millions of data points a day, and still trying to teach it how to do something that it might already be safer than humans, but it could still make that mistake you would not accept. So yeah, like, it's, the human in the loop. You still got to have that point. So
yeah.
What I found interesting about the Taco Bell thing was, at the end of the article, it said we took a step back and what have you, but we are still going forward and investing $1 billion into AI technology going forward.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because that $1 billion is going to save them that and then some, right?
Sure.
I mean, because not having to pay employees to sit there at that window taking those orders is so much more efficient for them and makes them a lot more money.
Yeah.
Right. So one thing to note here with all of this is that it's a good point that, again, AI in general, even voice AI, and we're rolling out voice AI with all of our clients, and we're finding almost the same type of a use case there, is that we are doing it very slow, and testing and monitoring those systems, because I've got a tech background. We all have tech backgrounds, on this call here, but you'd never roll anything out, from into a mass produced state in technology, anything with programming. And, you want to test it as much as you possibly can and monitor it as much as you possibly can. And this goes, if you're considering that voice AI for your business, which I highly do recommend, it's gotten better and better and better, and it's just continuing to get better. It still has flaws, and people still, we find people in Florida don't really like it so much. I guess they're older in Florida, and they're once they figure out it's AI, they just hang up. So that's kind of an issue
Yeah.
when you have a bunch of roofing companies in Florida. But it's a technology. It's eventually going to be here. If you think about a technology curve, right? It looks like a bell curve, right? You've got the early adopters, you've got the middle adopters, you've got the people who adopt later, right? We're just barely in the very first stages of this curve.
Yeah.
And we are the early adopters right here. If you're listening to this, you're most likely an early adopter, right? It hasn't even hit the masses at this point yet. And I think Sam Altman, we were talking about that earlier, are we truly, he's saying there's a bubble, right? I think it's a hype bubble. It's not a true technology bubble.
Mhm.
Okay. Just like the internet. I mean, come on. We had the internet.com, right? We all went through it on this call. If you're younger, Gen Z, whatever, listening to this, you have no idea what the .com bubble was, but it was a huge deal, right? And all of a sudden everyone's saying the internet is out. That's it. That's no more internet. We're done with this, right? No, it kept going. It kept getting stronger. And here we are. We're talking on the internet right now, right? And it's sitting in our pockets. And that $1,000 machine sitting in our pockets. It's on our watches, right? It's on our glasses. It's on our freaking refrigerators now,
And
So-
Brad's washing machine.
Brad's washing machine.
right?
And,
Yeah.
He has got the best
You know-
AI wash clothes I have ever seen.
But my point is that we're just at the beginning stages of this technology curve, of this bell curve, So I don't believe that we're in any kind of a bubble other than a hype bubble.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I wanted to piggyback off of what was said earlier about sense of humor. I would say that sometimes maybe it doesn't have a sense of humor, but we have programmed our voice AI agents to have a lighthearted sense of humor. And it's amazing where if you were to call my company right now and say, hey, I was wondering about your marketing services, blah, blah, blah. She's going to tell you about them. And then you say, by the way, do you know where I could get a good cup of coffee? She'll kind of almost like chuckle and say, I could really go for one right now myself, but I don't really have the answer to that. So they do have a sense of humor. And I think it's only going to get better. I mean, as you've probably seen on the internet, there are actual robots being built that look like humans that talk and walk and do things and have a sense of humor. So that's all morphing into whatever it's going to be as well.
Absolutely.
So, what do you think,
I'll-
Laura?
Well, I was just going to say, I'll bring up what Apple's going to be rolling out here next year because Siri is.
Why next year?
I don't know. And ironically,
They're so
they're
far
Our
away
already,
in the
lifetime
times.
away in AI.
Yes, I know.
yes,
Android all the way.
it's tagged as March, but that's one of the things that the articles that I was reading about is they're like, that's still not going to be enough time for a lot of businesses to be ready. And what they're tagging it as is world knowledge answers. So again, instead of a search system, that's what they're naming it, is the world knowledge answers. But it's very interesting as to, again, many things that we've already discussed. And again, our listeners will be able to take advantage of the things that you need to be able to, because instead of providing of a list, if they say, where Taco Bell's near me, or we'll say, where's the tacos near me, it's not going to just list or provide a map any longer. It's going to go out and pull the information from your website and provide one thorough answer. So as we've talked about before, this is the time that you're going to go ahead and want to make sure you upgrade your Apple listings, go in there, review them, make sure you want to go ahead and structure your data on your website as to what people ask. And then they say, write like people talk. You definitely want to write that in and get serious about your reviews and your content. So stuff that I know our listeners are already doing and looking at. But if you have any questions, like Brad mentioned earlier, if you're scratching your head going, I don't even know how to update my Apple listings, or realize that there's actually different elements that pull together for an Apple listing or any of these listings that we see, we refer to it as your digital footprint online. That's a time that we would recommend to reach out to an expert, and so that it's streamlined and you can get your information updated.
Now I'm
One thing
thinking
about-
we need a self-driving taco truck.
There you go. One of the things I was going to mention is that people are starting to notice already, like AI is
Tacos.
starting to take over search, and give full, complete answers so you don't go to the website, right? So just as a little talk to your experts, that kind of stuff. Um, know what numbers are important in your business at all times, because a number that might have seemed important in your business was, you tracked website visitors. Well, website visitors are going to go down because if your website's done well and more people are asking questions in AI, if your online footprint, not just your website, but your whole digital footprint, your happy customer stories and your reputation marketing and your all of those things tie together, and AI gives a full complete answer, and you go, wow, I also know that brand because I've seen them around town. They do a really good. So again, online and offline, you're building a proper like real world footprint, online, digitally, offline, everywhere else. You will have less traffic to your website. So does that mean your website is now useless? Well, no, it's being used. It's being used in an entirely different way and needs to be adapted and grown up that way. So your most valuable insights from your marketing team, from your KPIs, whatever it is you're doing, now becomes direct calls, booked jobs, which it always should have been, but and it always should be. Like that is the end. Yeah, but you realize that there might be some numbers that don't equate to, okay, throw the baby out with the bathwater. It's like, the game is changing, but at the end of the day, are you maintaining direct calls, bookings, new customer inquiries from multiple sources, right? Does your provider, whoever's helping you with this, do they are they on the cutting edge of this and know that even how to adjust to that, or are they going to try and start to figuring this out by Apple rolls out their whole new platform next March 5th, and by March 15th they're going to go, oh crap, we got to start learning this, or are they talking about it right now? So
Because now if you can get that your content on your website answering the questions that people are asking and searching, because it's a whole other ball game instead of just writing in 1 or 2 words for a search. It's a whole other ball game when they can ask and be very specific about that party that's left wine on the carpet, or I am getting ready to take my car somewhere and I need some restoration done, or we have specific questions people are looking for. And if your website has that answer, it will be presented by AI, or it definitely increases the odds for someone looking.
Yes, absolutely.
And
So-
also, when someone is on an LLM AI and they're getting that question answered, they typically go much deeper in getting their questions asked, or sorry, their questions answered there in the platform, so that when they do go to your website, that's part of why they're able to convert so quickly, and because they've already gone down the rabbit hole.
Mm-hmm.
So,
exactly.
Yeah. So, and a prime example of this, by the way, is me this past weekend. This past weekend, I bought a truck, right? My first truck that I bought for myself, like I've been having family vehicles for the past 20 years, right? And I decided that I'm going to buy a freaking truck. So
You are in Texas.
So for a month, yeah, I'll send you all a picture. It's pretty cool. Anyways, not the subject here, but I did a lot of research. Like I had a huge list of trucks in Houston, and I live 90 miles away. So that's an hour and a half drive into Houston, into all these dealerships. So it's a whole day that we set aside, and I narrowed it down to 6 trucks.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. 6 dealerships. And I walked in the first one, told every single one of them, I told the same exact thing. I researched y'all on the internet. I researched this truck right here, and I want to make sure it's up to my standards when I drive it. So tons and tons of research, but that's what, and I ended up buying a truck that day. Right. Mm-hmm. And had all these dealerships, and really the people that I bought it from were the most knowledgeable about that specific truck. Right. None of the other dealerships had any clue about this specific truck right here. What was its maintenance? What was, any of that kind of stuff. Right. Yeah. The first dealership that I went back to them. They had all of that information. So this has nothing to do with AI. This has everything to do with consumer behavior. Yeah. Right. So going back to this whole that Siri is getting smarter eventually, apparently a year from now. I mean, come on, Apple, get with the times, Apple. Let's go.
Exactly.
Right. This thing has been around for 3 years. Let's get on it, man. Right. But Siri maybe eventually will become, I'm sorry, it's coming on here. Maybe will eventually be what we all hoped it was going to be at the very beginning. Right. And I've been warning my people, my audience in the roofing industry about this for a really long time, is that if you put all your eggs in one basket with Google, right?
Mhm.
And now we've got ChatGPT, we've got all these other ones, but if we put all of our eggs and marketing eggs in one basket, then, we're not diversifying enough here. And Siri's going to come along and they're going to take away everything. They're going to sweep that rug right out from Google. Okay. So they've had that ability for the past 10 years.
Yeah.
They've had that ability to do that, and the funding that they could have and should have been on the forefront of the AI industry, but yet here they are lagging majorly behind every single other technology out there. Why is that? Come on, Apple. Let's go.
All right.
Well, we'll let
Yeah.
Apple answer that question. I just
That's
wanted
right.
to say, well, no. I just wanted to bring it to the point where we've been talking about voice search. I think that that's the other thing too, is to keep in mind the personas that we are selling to now, meaning
Mhm.
as for our businesses that we're helping with, the persona is going to be shifting, and those younger generations are going to rely more and more and more on the voice search. So it might be Alexa, it might be Hey Google, it might be whatever with Siri, but they're not even going to try to type. They're just going to automatically ask a question, listen to the answer, and say, that's the truck I want, or, this is who I'm going to contact for. I'm going to book my med spa day because that was the answer that was provided.
All right.
Very good.
Well, I think that we actually have unpacked the fact that we are not going to fall off the cliff with AI, that it's not going away. There's going to be fear and fear mongering about these types of things going forward. There's a lot of unknowns, but at the same time, I think us as marketers realize that all businesses need to be aware and really be tuned into what's happening. And if that means your marketing provider, like some of us on the call, rely on us to help you, because it's a strange time. A lot of people are just like, oh my gosh, I hear people say fear. I hear fear about it more than a lot of things, but the hope, the ability to expand, the ability to think of things that we could have never thought of. I mean, if you think back, before the internet or before some of the things that we have now, who could have even imagined the technology that we have now? So hold on to your hats, because, it's only going to get better, and you really want to look at embracing it, but embrace it with smarts. Don't just go off the cliff and say, well, it didn't work. Surround yourself with smarter people and take a chance and go from there. But I think we covered a lot of good things. I think with that, if you guys are open, I think we should wrap for the day. And for those that are watching, listening, be sure and hit the like button, hit the share button, tell your friends about our show. Our whole purpose is to help as many businesses out there as they navigate the next phases of AI.